Still waiting for one more. I hope he didn't leave. Did he leave? Brian, actually have to call the meeting to order, right?
Roll back into session.
Thank you all for waiting out there. We're back in session, so I'm going to call the special meeting to order. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our statement of values. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we gather, we humbly seek blessings upon this meeting. May we act with strength, courage, and will to perform our obligations and duties to our people with justice to all. Let us seek wisdom so that we may act in the best interests of our people, our neighbors, and our country. We all ask this so that we may serve our community with fairness and respect, putting their needs before all.
Thank you. Roll call, City Clerk.
Councilmember Caserta. Davis. Here. Kolstad.
Here.
Mahan. Here. O'Neill.
Here.
Watanabe. Here. And Mayor Gilmore.
Here. All right, any public presentations? I don't have any cards. Anyone like to come up and speak? Okay, seeing none, we have our one order of business, which is a Stadium Authority item, adoption of a resolution consenting to a service agreement between the 49er Stadium Management Company and Landmark Event Staffing Services for security services at Levi Stadium, and note and file amendment number 1 to include Stadium Authority as additional insured under the insurance requirements of the service agreement. Manager? Executive Director? I don't know if you have any
Thank you, Madam
comments
Chair,
or-
members of the board. No, this is a continued item. We just discussed that, and at this point, you can just have a, public comment or deliberate yourself and give us direction how to proceed.
Okay, board, I have Board Member O'Neill. Do you have comments or?
If it's okay, do you want me to make a motion at this point and that we can discuss?
All right, if besides that, I just have one other light on, which is Authority Member
I was
Mahan.
just waiting for the motion so I could make a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this has been a very difficult process for us, and I think we're still, working out how we really want this stadium to operate as an asset of the community and for the benefit of the community. But in light of the circumstances, I'd like to make a motion that the authority adopt a resolution consenting to a service agreement between the 49er Stadium Management Company and Landmark Event Services for security services at Levi Stadium, and note and file amendment number 1 to include the Stadium Authority as an additional insured under the insurance requirements of the service agreement, and I think as a general direction also that to ask the staff to bring back at a future time for the Stadium Authority board members to look at, in general, our procurement policies as they relate to all the contracts that are under Manco and the purview of the Stadium Authority in relation to all our subcontractors and how they operate at the stadium.
Second.
Motion second, Authority Member Mahan.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a few comments because I think it's important for the public to understand how the existing contracts with the Stadium Authority and the Stadium Management Company operate at this time. The Stadium Authority, when we initially went into the stadium agreements, delegated the authority to negotiate and procure contracts related to stadium operations to Management Company, AKA Manco. And Manco has the sole authority to negotiate and procure these contracts for all stadium operations. The Stadium Authority, which is the City Council, has the authority to approve or disapprove those contracts within certain parameters. We have to be reasonable. We adopt a budget, and as long as the contracts that are procured are within that budget, we don't have to negotiate or pre-approve those contracts. So this contract came to us fully baked, in other words. We don't participate in the negotiations. Manco did its best to get the best possible security for the stadium. Obviously, Manco has the similar interest as the city to make sure that the stadium is well operated, so it continues to be successful. We heard here today that the other RFP responders were also non-union. This is a very hard industry, I understand, to unionize because, especially for stadium operations, which is 8 to 10 games a year, for most folks, this is their second or third or a part-time job or a side job in addition to their full-time work. We have experienced in this council in the last couple of years a great deal of leadership on union issues. Dominic Caserta has taken a real lead in pushing forward the agenda of labor to make sure that our workers are well compensated, to make sure that we have, that we value our workers and show that we value workers throughout our city. There are issues of labor peace that we want to look at citywide. There are issues of prevailing wage that we want to look at citywide. This will encompass the stadium operations when we get there. We can't do that here today, and we can't do this with this contract. We've had very good advice from our city attorney. I thank Mr. Doyle for his honesty, for his candor, for his willingness to dig into this issue and really come up with very good advice that he has given us that we are following here today. So I think that going forward, I appreciate Councilmember O'Neill's including in the motion direction to look at these issues and to bring them forward to us so that we, on our side, can make the policy decisions that are necessary to get these policies in place, both for the stadium operations and throughout our city going forward. So I'm going to support the motion. I think it's very important that we continue stadium operations in an orderly fashion, and we need this contract to do that. And I also want to assure the union members who are here and the union representatives that are here that we will be talking to you and we will be getting these policies in place for Santa Clara as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Caserta.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a public asset, the stadium, that is run by a private interest. And sometimes those things conflict with each other. And I appreciate Stadium Member Mahan's eloquent thoughts and comments. We've done some great things in this city, whether it's raising the minimum wage to the highest in the county a year and a half ago to worker retention. I think we all value that we want to empower workers. The other two representatives that came here today, I appreciate them talking as well, but they aren't fully baked in regards to union in this deal either with the RFP. So I got very clear, distinct legal opinion from our city attorney today that I have to really weigh into account here. So my concern is moving forward, how do we improve this process? I think the motion reflects an opportunity, hopefully by consensus, to look at livable wage, to look at changing the sovereignty on this issue at the end of the day. But soberly speaking, I think our city attorney told us where we were at. And I literally, we hear about clothespin votes for voters voting for presidents. I'm literally clothespin voting today and saying that, soberly and financially to protect the city from lawsuit, etc., I think I will be supporting this.
Okay, Authority Member Watanabe.
Thank you, Mayor. This has been a very difficult process because I know, I stand for the worker. Even as we were giving our statement of values, I just, I'm reminded of, we're here for the best interest of the people. And we want to make decisions based on that we are looking out for the best interests of the people. I understand, thank you, City Attorney, for all of the legal advice you gave us today. I understand everything that you've explained. I appreciate the fact that we have the opportunity going forward to look at making some changes because I was not a part of this in the past, what was written, what was agreed to in the past. And based on what I've seen, what I've heard over the last couple of years, yeah, Measure J. You know, we made promises to the people. Our promises were made to the people. You know, these were going to be good paying jobs, and we need to stand by Measure J and make sure that, you know, the people that work there are properly compensated. The people that are there are properly protected. I mean, we have a responsibility as a city to make sure that these things are accomplished. And going forward, definitely, I'm glad that we can take a look at, you know, changing, adopting some new living wage standards, looking at the performance standards and see if what needs to be changed there, again, to make sure that the people that come to our fair city are protected when they go to visit and spend time in this public asset that belongs to the city of Santa Clara. It's tough, but in the long run, the ramifications that could potentially happen if we don't approve this 5-year contract, I think will hurt our city. But at the same time, going forward, I think it's imperative that we make some changes. But for the sake of the city, and I will support the motion.
Thank you. Any other comments? I just wanted, did you want to comment? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make a few comments. As you can see, there's votes enough to pass this today. I just want to say that this whole process that has come forward with this has been very eye-opening for us in terms of the fact that we've learned a lot of things about our procurement process, how we look at contracts for the Stadium Authority and the city as well. This particular contract, because it's a service contract, did not have to follow our procurement policy. It was exempt. So I don't know if it went through a competitive process. If it was, I never saw the actual offering or what the bids were or any such nature. I know that Landmark has provided services for the stadium, and for the most part, they've done a decent job, although we've had a lot of security issues out there, so we're still working forward. What I don't like is that all these contracts were brought to us 10 days before they were expiring, and most of them were several 2-3-year contracts. 10 days before they're expiring, bringing them to the Stadium Authority Board is unacceptable. It really is. So what this has taught me going forward is that we're not going to allow this type of process and procedure in the future. We're in a box now. It looks like we have to approve this contract, not just that we were threatened collectively and individually as Stadium Authority Board members here, which we don't really take to bullying very kindly. And that was really low, but not unexpected. But the fact that it came to us at the last minute, probably on purpose, so that we had to approve this contract. We have to going forward. So we've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot in this to know that we're going to start making some sweeping changes in terms of our procurement policy, and how do we see the future of the stadium in Santa Clara, and what about the promises that were made to us for Measure J, such as good paying jobs. Well, there's jobs out there, but many of them, including this one, are slightly over minimum wage. And those are the type of security jobs that are going to be protecting our stadium, protecting the people out there. So do we want better? Yes. I know I want to see better out there. I want to see better jobs. I want to see what promises Measure J. I want to see those come into reality. So we're going to have to look at changing our procurement policy. So we're going to stop, I hope, exempting service contracts from the RFP and public bidding process to make sure we're getting the best bang for our buck in terms of stadium authority. I also want to look at making sure that we put performance standards in these contracts, which these contracts are lacking. good performance standards. And just to make sure that we are looking at living wage and other type of protection for workers. Because the reality is trying to live in this valley is so expensive, and if we're paying just barely over minimum wage jobs for a public facility, it's not acceptable. So I'll be supporting this completely reluctantly, because I think the way it was brought before us, the way we were threatened and bullied and forced to put into this is wrong. But I can vow to you that we are going to make changes going forward in terms of how we look at all these contracts for our stadium authority. So, with that said, lights on the motion. And that passes unanimously. Reports taken in closed session, City Attorney, Stadium Authority Attorney?
There were no votes taken in closed session.
All right. So we will adjourn to tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Meeting adjourned.